Join me as I dive into history and uncover the most shocking lessons from past wars that could change the way we think about conflicts today. Throughout history, wars have been fought and lessons have been learned. But are we really applying those lessons to the conflicts we're facing today? It's an important question to ask, because if we're not, we risk repeating the same mistakes over and over again. One of the most important lessons we can learn from history is the importance of diplomacy. Time and time again, wars have been triggered by a lack of effective communication, a failure to understand the other side's perspective, or a reluctance to compromise. From the Treaty of Versailles to the Cuban Missile Crisis, diplomacy has played a crucial role in either preventing or escalating conflicts. Athens and Sparta, the two dominant city-states in ancient Greece, were locked in a struggle for power. Despite attempts at negotiation, both sides were unwilling to compromise, leading to a protracted and devastating war. The war weakened Greece as a whole, leaving it vulnerable to external conquest. This ancient example underscores how a lack of diplomacy can lead to mutual destruction. Egypt and Israel had been in a state of war for decades, with multiple conflicts, including the 1967 Six-Day War and the 6th of October 73 war. U.S. President Jimmy Carter brokered negotiations between Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin. The talks resulted in a peace treaty, with Israel agreeing to withdraw from the Sinai Peninsula and Egypt recognizing Israel's right to exist. The accords demonstrated how sustained diplomatic efforts could resolve long-standing conflicts. After World War I, the Allied powers imposed harsh terms on Germany, including massive reparations and territorial losses. The treaty was largely punitive, with little effort to address Germany's grievances or foster reconciliation. This created resentment and economic instability in Germany, contributing to the rise of Adolf Hitler and World War II. The lack of constructive diplomacy in the post-war settlement sowed the seeds for future conflict. The U.S. and the Soviet Union were on the brink of nuclear war after the USSR placed missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the U.S. coast. Through back-channel negotiations and direct communication between President John F. Kennedy and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, a compromise was reached. The U.S. agreed not to invade Cuba and secretly removed missiles from Turkey, while the USSR withdrew its missiles from Cuba. Diplomacy averted a potential nuclear catastrophe, highlighting the importance of communication and compromise. As we reflect on these lessons from history, it's clear that we have a lot to learn from the past. By applying these insights to our approach to conflicts today, we can avoid repeating the same mistakes over and over again. We can create a safer, more peaceful world where conflicts are rare and diplomacy is the norm. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think are the most important lessons from history that we can apply to conflicts today?